That has brought thousands of Palestinian demonstrators to Israel's border.
So what can President Trump do to alleviate tensions there and push ahead with his goals of bringing peace to the region? Here to weigh in, Fox News correspondent at large, Geraldo Rivera, has got a new book we're going to talk about.
Good morning.
But also, you've reported obviously all around the world, but particularly have been all over the Gaza conflict.
Gaza is the world's largest concentration camp. We have to recognize that this violence is something that could happen every day in Gaza. There are almost 2 million Palestinians. They're stuffed in an area 25 miles long by 5 miles wide. The Israelis control the water, the electricity, jobs. I mean, it really is a melancholy place.
But hold on, the keepers of the concentration camp are Hamas, not Israel.
Well,
Hamas
if that were true, who controls the fences, though, Pete?
Well, it's because the rockets are being fired on Israel. To call it a concentration camp is really slanted.
That approach, what is slanted is to say that Israelis or Israel is being afflicted or attacked from the militants in Gaza without recognizing there are 2 million Palestinians in Gaza with no hope. They have no future.
They're run by a terrorist organization.
Their lives have been controlled since the 1967 war, and the president must re-energize the peace process. That's the real point, I think. If you can ignore the West Bank and Gaza for days and days and months and even years, then suddenly something like this happens and people remember, oh yes, this is occupied territory. This is an unstable situation.
You can't negotiate with Hamas. They're a declared terrorist organization that says they want to wipe Israel off the map.
You know, Pete, I'm not even going to argue it because this is one of those things that you could fight about all day long.
You know, this reminds me of, Geraldo, though, it reminds me of so many families today, including my own. And we were talking about this in the commercial break, where there is division. There's division right now in politics, and I want to get to your book, the Geraldo Show, because we've been talking about Roseanne on the show, and she's someone that opens up about her politics. And you say you relate to that because you're a part of a family where a lot of people have different perspectives, and sometimes it's challenging.
I just mentioned to the major that sometimes the twain never meets, you know, with Palestine and Israel, and that I think is one example. But the Roseanne show, I thought, was almost telling the story of the Rivera family. Because here's Roseanne, a Trump supporter, and her sister, her beloved sister, hates Trump. Translate that to my family and millions of other American families. I support the president. I can divide my my differences on policy with the president from my support of the man and the office. I think you only get one president at a time. I'm honored that my old friend is now one of the 45 men in the history of the republic who holds that office. My wife cannot. She really can't stand his policy. She can't separate the man from the actions and these policies. So I think that conflict, that tension, that division that's reflected in the Roseanne show is something that's a story that's the great American story, I think, of certainly of the age of Trump and this era.
And that so many people can relate to. And you open up
I bet your own family, Abby, if I'm not mistaken.
There are a lot of us.
A lot of you.
Opinions and a lot of backgrounds. But you know what? That's what makes this country so great. And being able to talk about those differences. And that's what we love about you, because you're an open book. And now you have it in the Geraldo Show book.
I have a book to open.
And you talk about it all and all the things that you've been through.
Well, you know, the big part of this book has to do, the soul of the book is what happened after 9/11. When I left my top-rated, plush, high-paid job at NBC, my desk job, to come here to Fox and be a war correspondent. Why did I do that? Because my friends and neighbors were killed on 9/11. My city was savaged by savages on 9/11, and I wanted very much to go after the people that inflicted that pain and suffering on us. I became a Fox News senior war correspondent. I went there, 11 extended assignments in Afghanistan and in Iraq. Finally, after 10 years, I was blessed to be on the air the night we learned that Osama bin Laden, who had inflicted so much pain and suffering on us, had finally been killed by SEAL Team 6.
I got to interrupt you because I don't know if you know this, but the night you mentioned bin Laden was killed, I raced to the White House. I was at CNN, and I had what they call a hard pass where I could get in. You happen to be in Washington. I was standing at the gate inside the White House. All these reporters were trying to get in. They're like, you're not on the list. And this guy is there, and they're like, sorry, we know who you are. We know your face, but we cannot let you in. There's security. There were people outside celebrating, thousands of students. students outside the gates, and this guy talked his way into the White House gates. I watched it happen. You didn't have the right pass to get in. Do you remember that?
I had no pass. I said, I've got to find my crew. I've got to find my brother Craig and my crew. And they actually let me in the White House. It was extraordinary.
That never happened.
And then I got out there and I was reporting, and I was in a sea of people who was so exuberant, so exhilarated by the fact that we finally got this.
They got to crack down at that White House.
Yeah, they'll let anybody in.
I will say that, Geraldo, we may disagree on some things, but you're a patriot, and you did that because you love your country, and there's some amazing stories in here. It's a great book.
I appreciate it.
You got it.
Good luck with the book.
Thanks,
Meanwhile,
Geraldo.
Appreciate it.
Hundreds of sheriffs from around the country now writing to Congress. They are demanding tighter border security and an end to sanctuary policies. Will their voices finally be heard? We'll talk about it with a panel of sheriffs.